Shabbat Shalom, everyone. As many of you know, a little over a year ago, I had back surgery. And like many people who go into surgery, I had a particular timeline for recovery in mind. The surgery would happen, I would rest for a little bit, I would do some physical therapy, and then I would be good as new. And when I woke up from surgery and the anesthesia fog had cleared a bit, the nurse helped me to stand up. And the first thing I noticed was actually the absence of pain that had radiated down my leg for years before. The surgery had been an incredible success, thanks to my very amazing, very brilliant surgeon. And so I laid back down, confident that recovery would be pretty straightforward, just as I had planned it. And if you know me, you know that I like things to go according to the way I plan it. But here I am a year later, and I'm still healing. I went to physical therapy just this morning. I'm still stretching, still strengthening, still learning what my body can do and what needs more work still. Still discovering that true healing isn't always a straight path. And the thing is, that really shouldn't have been a surprise. I counseled patients on this very topic starting when I did chaplaincy training during rabbinical school. I even drew graphs to show them. And yet, when it came to my own recovery, I somehow didn't think it would apply to me. But as it happens, I am not the outlier. I am part of the vast majority of people for whom the journey toward healing takes longer than you anticipate. And what I thought would be a short journey turned out to be a very long one. And yet, over the past year, I've started to realize that perhaps I misunderstood something fundamental to what healing really means. That perhaps the time that a journey takes isn't actually the important part. Perhaps my mistake was not understanding what the true purpose of a journey was in the first place. In the Talmud, Tractate Eruvin, Rabbi Yehoshua ben Hananiah tells a very famous story about a time when he came to a crossroads where he met a young boy. Rabbi Yehoshua asks, "On what path shall I walk in order to get to the city?" And the young boy says, "Well, this path is short but long, and that path is long but short." Rabbi Yehoshua walked on the short but long path. It seemed like the best option. But when he approached the city, he found his path blocked by gardens and orchards. He could not get through. So he had to turn around, retrace his steps, and go back to the young boy and said, "Didn't you tell me that this was the short way?" And the boy responded, "But didn't I also tell you that it was the long way?" After a moment, Rabbi Yehoshua kissed the boy on the head and said, "Happy are you, O Israel, for you are all exceedingly wise from your old to your very young." Rabbi Yehoshua realized something important as he spoke to the boy this second time. He thought he had chosen the short path, the path that seemed easiest and perhaps most convenient, the path that would lead him to the destination quickest. But the short path turned out to also be long, because it didn't actually take him where he needed to go. So many of us spend our lives in search of a short path, the quickest solution, the easiest fix, a life hack that's sure to solve our problems. We look for the shortest path between where we are and where we want to be. But what this Talmudic story teaches us is that the short path may look appealing because we see it and we think we know where we're going. But what we can't always see and anticipate are the obstacles that are on that path just around the corner. The long path might be less attractive. It asks more from us from the outset. It requires patience and endurance. With the long, short path, we may not actually be able to see our final destination, but at the end of the day, that long path may actually lead us to where we need to be. And that's what this year has taught me. What I wanted was a short path. I wanted a surgery to solve my problems and absolve me from pain, and it did, and it was miraculous, and my life has changed because of it. But what I didn't anticipate was that the surgery wasn't actually the only part of the journey. I wanted physical therapy to be a brief layover, and I wanted the work of healing to move into the work of living. I wanted to be able to do all of the things that I wanted to do, like go to walk all of the hills of the zoo and run around the sprinklers and push my kids on the swings. But there's a long road between surgery and those milestones, not a short one. Because healing isn't only one thing. It's rebuilding and retraining. It's about learning new habits and understanding limitations. It's about having patience, something that we're often able to do for other people, but less often are we patient with ourselves. I needed, as my physical therapist put it just this morning, to put small but intentional deposits into the bank account that I would one be able to withdraw from. Not today and not tomorrow, but someday with enough work, I'll have built up enough credit to make a withdrawal. And it takes time. It requires the long, short road. And the same is true for the Israelites in their journey toward the Promised Land. In this week's double Torah portion, Matot Maseh, we find a list in Numbers 33. It goes through all 42 stops that the Israelites make on their journey from Egypt through the wilderness. 42 stops. The Torah lists every camp, every location, every place they made a detour. Bless you. And so we wonder why. Why do we need such a detailed list of every single stop they made along the way? Not every one of those 42 places could have possibly been noteworthy. Why don't we just simply say the Israelites arrived at the end of the Promised Land? But as we always say in Torah study, the rabbis tell us that every word in the Torah carries meaning. They are not there by accident. So this detailed report of 42 different locations has to be there to teach us something. And I think that something is the very thing that we learned with Rabbi Yehoshua in the Talmud. The journey matters. The destination is part of the story, but it's not the entire story. The Israelites did not simply travel from Israel to the Promised Land. They took 40 years to do what could have been an 11-day hike. 40 years. An entire generation died in the wilderness. And that 40 years, I think, was not simply just a punishment. The Israelites weren't ready to go into the Promised Land yet. They were not prepared to take the short path because they were not spiritually ready for it as a people. Had they taken that short path, they would have entered the Promised Land as little more than slaves. They had to learn what it meant to be a free people. The goal was not simply to get there, to arrive at the Promised Land. They had to go there ready not only to arrive, but to live there and to thrive there. They needed to receive commandments at Sinai, and then they needed to struggle and wrestle with what it meant to be free, what it meant to build a community. They needed to grow into a people worthy of living in the Promised Land. They wanted the short path, but they needed the long one. I think this is one of the hardest lessons that we face in our lives. It's always easier to take the short path. We want to. We ask, when will we get there? When will I be settled? When will I be through it? When will I have finally arrived? But I think our tradition actually is asking us to ask different questions. So what if instead we asked ourselves, what am I meant to learn on this journey? Or who am I becoming as I walk the path? Because perspective matters. If we're only concerned about the end, we miss everything along the way. The long, short path allows us to grow as we walk on it, to become the people that we're meant to be along the way. We're all still on a path of some sort. I wish there was a shortcut for many things in life. I wish I could snap my fingers and be completely able to do everything I wanted to do. But I also recognize that with every stretch and every exercise, I'm doing the work that I need to do to build up to the person who I want to be. I've learned to be patient and persistent and not to give up when it seems like everything is taking too long. I've learned to take stock of small victories and celebrate them on the way. I've learned that the time on the long road isn't wasted time. It's time spent in service to getting myself to a destination as a fuller, better version of myself. So perhaps that is why the Torah preserves each and every one of those 42 stops in the wilderness, to remind us that the journey is more important as the destination, because the journey with all of its twists and turns and detours and roadblocks actually has the power to shape us into who we're meant to be when we finally do get to our destination. Shabbat Shalom. As we get